We live in a time of great paradox. Never before have we had the freedom and the means to communicate instantly, personally, and at scale. Yet the same tech that connects us risks disconnecting us. For all the touch points we've got, are we losing the human touch? Are emojis overtaking real emotions? Are algorithms hijacking our agency? This fast-paced, always-on, tech-powered world can leave us feeling overwhelmed, impotent, and discontented. Hey, it's tough enough trying to keep up, let alone show up. It doesn't have to be this way. The fact is, you are unique. No one has the exact set of attributes, experiences, and potential that you have. So how do we keep it real? By discovering what is true and genuine and aligning with that, so every word you say, gesture you make, and action you take, personally and professionally, online and offline, navigates toward fulfillment and prosperity. I'm Liza Horan, and I'm bringing my full experience of more than 30 years in media and communications and a lifelong spiritual quest to help you express yourself with authenticity. What's at stake? Greater positive impact to yourself, others, and the world. Please join me for real-life stories, hard-won perspective, and practical strategies for a grounded yet inspired approach to express yourself with authenticity. Welcome to episode 1. I'm really excited to get this show off the ground. It's been in the planning for over a year, and when I set out, I had no idea we would be facing a world in flux as we are now. The amount of change and the velocity of change seem unprecedented. If it feels as though we're on shifting sands, grasping for the community, the norms, the ideals, the values, the ways of even a year ago, please know there's reason for hope. Perhaps never before have our thoughts, feelings, and choices been so critical to our reality. And that's what this show is about. We're going to take this exploration together. Are you ready? Let's go. I feel it's imperative that we express ourselves with authenticity. And I'd like to share 3 observations and a solution to answer this. Observation number 1. We're on the precipice of a new reality, teetering on the edge between the fake and the genuine. It's tough to discern what's real, genuine, and true anymore. The evidence is all around us. Exhibit A, technology. Let me preface this by saying I am no technophobe. I was an early adopter of the internet. I moved from print publishing into digital media in 1995, and I never looked back. So I am very interested in the progression of technology and how that can be used to serve our interests. And what I'm seeing is information is being manipulated, and our access to information is being manipulated through artificial intelligence, algorithms, deep fakes, fake news, bias in the media, propaganda. We've got virtual reality, alternative reality, and now we can outsource our thinking and our writing and easily enable cheating through ChatGPT. Even though it has its positives, it comes along with these threats. And we're also represented by proxy online. Google, Facebook, and other search engines and social platforms have decided how we will be portrayed and to whom and when, in what context. This has led a lot of people to try to game the algorithms just to be heard. Our exposure to raw information is being limited by the machinations of a non-sensing operator. It's a slippery slope. I ask you, do you want to be played by the system or exercise your agency? We're in the information age where communication is paramount. However, we can no longer take what's fed to us as real, genuine, and true. Think of all the tools we have now, tools that should serve us, not harm us. Neil Postman wrote a book called Amusing Ourselves to Death, Public Discourse in the Age of Show Business. He said, quote, "People will come to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think." Unquote. My question to you is, are we there? Observation 2. We're disconnected from ourselves, from each other, and from nature. Consider ourselves. Do you know that 70% of people worldwide die from preventable causes? It's a sign we don't know how to take care of ourselves and that we're out of touch with our body and nature's way. Our health systems are broke and broken. Pharmaceuticals have replaced natural medicines, and we're hurting ourselves with processed foods. Nanoplastics have been found in our organs, including the brain. We've got digital pollution from our devices to 5G masts. Do we understand how this disrupts our biology? Addiction is rife. Pick your poison. Drugs, alcohol, porn. The obsession with how we're perceived and how we look, modifying our physical form to feel more worthy and likable. We're disconnected from each other. Remote working, texting, email, disembodied voices have led to a more transactional experience when we communicate, when we engage. It's no longer about being in the moment, experiencing it in real life and in real time, with the opportunity to be spontaneous and see what develops. The emphasis can be more on getting what you need to move on, make a plan, get an answer, rather than an experiential adventure of being present. It's as if there's no room for moments to shape themselves. I wonder if this has influenced our ability to make and retain close friends. There are a couple studies conducted in America that show that over the years, people count fewer close friends than they used to. Pew Research Center in July 2023 reported that the number of people who said they had no close friends quadrupled in the past 20 years. A Gallup survey in 2003 found that 2% of Americans said they had no close friends. 2% in 2003. This year, that number is 8%. In another Gallup survey, the number of people who had no close friends jumped from 3% in 1990 to 12% in 2021. All three of these studies show a quadruple jump over a couple decades of having no close friends. Americans have never felt more lonely, and loneliness has lots of health implications, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. This is not reserved to the United States. In the UK, a government report in 2017 showed that loneliness was so prevalent and harmful to health that the UK government appointed a minister of loneliness to look at and try to ease the societal issue. And this was before the pandemic lockdown, when we were separated and we learned how important social interaction was to our health and well-being. So let's talk about how we communicate. The methods have changed over decades. Is that affecting how we relate to each other? Now, digital natives may not be able to compare to the landline days pre-internet, but they should be able to relate to the online versus offline communication methods. Let's take a look at it. Technology has given us the opportunity to communicate across borders, across time zones, across methods, instantaneously and free. It's a fantastic advantage, but it does bring a bit of a different culture and way of relating than what is natural and in person. It has given us more touch points, but more distance. The online interface is a projection of ourselves, so there is an inherent objectification of ourselves and of each other. It's built in. We can't help it. This naturally causes us to become aware of and potentially consumed with how we're being perceived, to the point that it could overshadow the actual genuine engagement with others. Where the emphasis was once creating human connection, it's become about portraying yourself attractively to software. And in the frenzy of ever-changing algorithms and rules to boost visibility, the chore of trying to get traction has become confusing at best and soul-crushing at worst. Do you know that it's easier on dating apps to find physical intimacy today than it is emotional intimacy? What does this say about us? There's actually a backlash to this. As a matter of fact, participation in dating apps has dropped significantly. The BBC reports that in January 2024, Match Group Incorporated, which owns Tinder, Hinge, and Match.com, acknowledged that the younger generation was not using their products because they were seeking, quote, a lower pressure, more authentic way to find connections, unquote. Why don't online dating apps appeal to the younger generation? And why, after 30 years of Match.com, are people starting to look elsewhere? It could be any number of things. Is it the commercialization of seeking true connection? The gamification of romance? Is it all the admin that comes with shopping online for a potential partner? Is it that people can misrepresent themselves, or it's a contrived situation to find compatibility? They report that while people are pulling back from dating apps, they're still meeting people online. They're just switching from dating apps to more lifestyle apps like fitness apps or other communities like gaming, where they can meet people around shared interests. I think we can take it as an encouraging indicator that people are seeking greater authenticity and looking for connection. And hey, if it's the younger generation, the digital natives who are leading this counterculture, fantastic. We've got another trend at work. There seems to be a lack of tolerance for other points of view today. How can we move forward if two sides are not willing to come together for listening and for discussion? We have political parties or other factions intent only on winning at any cost, and that does not include compromise. So this is all or nothing thinking, and this attitude hurts everyone. It's a non-starter. It creates a we-them situation or a me-them culture. Humans are social animals. How can we connect if we can't relate? It's not just our human nature we're disconnected from. We're disconnected from the natural world. The planet's on fire. Flora and fauna are increasingly diminished. Where our ancient ancestors cultivated natural resources, we're abusing and exploiting them as if we're not part of the whole ecosystem. It's becoming inhospitable to all forms of life. Observation 3. There is a polarization in full swing. People are picking sides. This divergence, this split, this separation is not based on demographics such as age, gender, class, race, education, geography, religion. It's more of a psychographic. Now, a psychographic is about personality, behavior, values, beliefs, lifestyle, attitudes, interests, activities. It's about how people think and what drives their lives. Together, all of this is about a philosophy, an outlook, a worldview, a paradigm for living. So this is where the split is occurring. There are two sides emerging. One is fake and one is genuine. One is grounded in fear. One is grounded in love. One is about us versus them, or me versus them, and the other is we. One side is exclusion, the other is inclusion. One side is scarcity, not enough, and the other side is more than enough, abundance. One side is take, one side is give. One side is compete, the other is collaborate. One side is offense and defense. The other side is outreach and compassion. One side is pain. The other side is joy and pleasure. Victimhood or gratitude. Hate versus understand. Disconnection versus connection. One side is closed. The other side is open. Slam the door, hide away, versus open the door, step outside. One side is shrink, the other is expand. One side is dark, the other side is light. These sides are a choice, but is it a conscious choice? Now, life is not as easy as either or. There are gray areas in life, not absolutes. There is a balance to be struck, but as a mindset, or a heart set, if you will, we must ask ourselves, what view or vibration are we working from? Which of these are we bringing to our choices? Which ones are we bringing to different situations, relationships, and moments in our day? Okay, those are 3 observations. Let's take stock of where we are. We're at risk of giving up, of not caring, or being subsumed by forces that do not have our best interests at heart. And we've gotten very distracted about what's important. And let me tell you, we're in this together. Our very existence is at stake. I'm not being dramatic here. We're at a point in the world today where we must ask, where is the humanity? To hear Dr. Jim Garrison of the New Paradigm Institute explain the state of the world, you might think I've been soft-shoeing it a bit. I attended a webinar by the Institute of Noetic Sciences featuring him 1 month after I released the trailer of this show and planned out this episode, and it was profound for me, assuring me that I'm not alone in feeling that we are at a crucial juncture. Remarkably, we even explained things the same way. This was a sign. This was a God wink. For some context, his talk was on the implications of the reality of extraterrestrials on Earth. Dr. Jim Garrison is director of the Washington, D.C. office of the New Paradigm Institute, where he focuses on the U.S. government's release of information about UFOs and unidentified anomalous phenomena. He's also a convener of the Humanity Rising Network, which has a daily global broadcast on issues of global concern. Dr. Garrison holds degrees from Harvard and Cambridge and the University of Santa Clara in California, and he's the founding president of Ubiquity University. Here's what he had to say.
It's an extraordinary fact for me that we are coming into awareness of our ET moment right at the moment when humanity, and indeed the entire planetary ecosystem, teeters on the precipice of self-destruction. Humanity has so egregiously violated the ethics of human to human relationship. Look at all the war, conflict, and civil unrest that permeates global human society. While simultaneously, we have violated every natural law pertaining to how humanity should be aligning itself with the larger planetary ecosystem, which we know is Gaia, is intelligent, is aware, has intention for why each of us as species have been brought into the planetary ecosystem. And it's extraordinary that what the extraterrestrials are telling us is exactly what the indigenous prophecies and the indigenous wisdom have been telling us. Humans, stop killing each other. Stop destroying the planetary ecosystem. Come back into alignment with who you most essentially are as children of the earth, as curators of the earth. For the fate of our species, the fate of our earth hangs in the balance, and only an upgrade in human consciousness to embrace this destiny will suffice to bring us into a realization of who we really are and why we really are.
Hearing this brought my feeling to another level. It is scary, but I'm not coming from fear here. I'm coming from a sense of energy and purpose. I'm spelling out what could be at stake. Our welfare on an individual, community, societal, and even planetary level. There is hope to turn the war to peace, the impotence to agency, the loneliness to connection, the down to up, the sick to well, the wanting to fulfilled. Stick with me here. It is the process of turning inward with curiosity and openness to discover what is real, genuine, and true for each of us, and connecting with that, aligning with that, expressing that personally, professionally, individually, collectively, online, and offline. We're going to cover all of that in this show. And just imagine if every word we say, gesture we make, and action we take comes from this place of truth, unfettered by our conditioning, technology, and media, and engineered food, drink, and other substances, and it was instead enhanced and empowered by our natural senses, our ancient equipment, and our acquired lived wisdom. Our reality would shift. The world would feel different and look different for us. It starts with each of us. It starts now. The call for authenticity today is loud and clear to me. I'm both impelled and compelled to do this show. That means both inner forces and outer forces have led me to share the experiences, the knowledge, and the resources that I've gained. I've been on a pursuit for truth my whole life, personally as a spiritual seeker, and professionally through my 35-year career in journalism and strategic communications. I'll share some stories on the personal side in a moment, but just a note here that these two professional disciplines are actually focused on seeking the truth of a matter. The core ideal of journalism is the pursuit of truth. It's about investigating the facts, even through different lenses, and putting it into context so it can be understood with meaning. The discipline of strategic communications is about achieving business goals by engaging audiences through meaningful messaging. Whether you're an individual on a professional quest, seeking a new job, making a pitch for business, or positioning yourself as a thought leader, or as an organization on a mission to sell products and services, or to solve a crisis facing society. The process of developing that strategy involves original research, doing that internal reflection on your vision, your mission, your values before you then turn to what's happening on that outer landscape, what's happening in the market, what are their needs, what are their behaviors, what are their interests, how do they need to receive your information in a way that they will feel served. It's about coming from a place of service. If conscious and conscientious introspection and reflection is not part of the discipline, and instead assumptions are used, I can tell you right now that things are going to go off the rails. You will not be approaching that goal in the most strategic, efficient, impactful way. It's akin to plotting a map with the wrong coordinates. True in business as in life. The theme here is really understanding that we're constantly in a state of evolution and having the humility and the courage to be curious about the state of things, what is true, and then to align with that and make sure we're coming from that in all that we do. It will serve us and help us to serve others. We'll get more into this in future episodes, but what I have gained from journalism and strategic communications and business strategy and digital strategy is a process for identifying what is real, genuine, actual, and true, and making that the foundation for everything that comes after that. And this process is also the way to learn how to express yourself with authenticity for fulfillment personally and professionally. I'm bringing all of my experience to this show, the personal and the professional. It's taken some guts to get here because we're so used to keeping our various aspects in silos to keep credibility and, protect our professional reputation, etc. We wear different hats for different situations, but I assure you, I'm bringing all my hats to this show. After all, we are holistic beings, and all sides of us spring from the same place. My orientation is equally to the objective as the subjective. I grew up with equal weight to intellect, education, critical thinking, logic, and reason, as I did to the mystical, spiritual, intuition, the mysteries that we don't understand. Today, these concepts aren't regarded as compatible. That is preposterous. And it's time to recognize that each of us are greater than the sum of our parts. So I'm doing that in this show. I'm bringing my personal and my professional learnings. Now, be assured, I am not here to tell you what the unequivocal truth is. I'm here to share what I call my 5 Ps: perspective, paradigms, processes, practices, and prompts that I've gained through my pursuit to offer for your consideration as you navigate toward fulfillment and prosperity. This includes the 7 phases to express yourself with authenticity and my 4-step process to achieve your business goals, whether you're an individual or an organization. The result, the benefit, is positive impact to yourself, to others, and the world. And now I'd like to share some stories on the way of my personal path to express myself with authenticity. I've always been guided by 2 quotes. The first, know thyself. This maxim is engraved at the Temple of Delphi in Greece, which dates from at least 5000 BC, and it was a primary value of all the ancient Greek philosophers that we respect so greatly. Hippocrates, Pythagoras, Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, and so many more. The next quote was thousands of years later, in the year 1601, when Shakespeare was writing a scene for Hamlet, and his words have been simplified into this quote, "To thine own self be true." These two quotes have guided my life from the youngest age. I'm not sure where I heard them, where they had come from, but there was a knowing about these concepts from the earliest age. And I have tried my whole life to live within them. Together, these quotes mean that I have to know what is real, genuine, and true for me and use that to inform my beliefs and my behaviors. I've done my best to do that always, and the trajectory of my life has been in accordance with that on the whole. But I recently had a profound revelation that sounds contrary to that, and I'd like to share that with you. In 2023, I was out for one of my exercise walks along the coastline. I could hear the sea lapping against the sand and the rocks as the tide came in and the sun went down as I walked along the soft, lush, green grass of a golf course after hours. I didn't encounter anyone or listen to any music or make any phone calls on my walk. It was just me and raw nature. And as I was walking up a slope, a revelation came to me. It came fast and full with this truth. As much as I followed these guiding quotes to know myself and be true to myself, I lived within a bubble of what I believed others expected of me. In other words, I limited my own ability to be myself by censoring myself, suppressing my natural ways, and even diminishing my own light in the name of doing what I thought was right by others. And it was in this instant, on this walk, that I could see this iridescent bubble with me inside of it, trying my earnest best to be myself, yet I was limited by the surface of this bubble, this contained reality. In my drive to be true to myself, I allowed a perceived limitation of saying and doing what I felt and knew to be right for me. Is it a classic tale of conditioning? Does everyone go through this as a natural part of development and growth? As children, we're taught the norms of social behavior and respect for authority and deference to those who are older and wiser. We're told to conform to the mores of the community. And those limits are important for children, for their self-development, and to understand morality. It protects us in the beginning. But at what point does this propriety and following the rules and deferring to others conflict with one's own sense of what is right for oneself? That's the question. But there is a natural blossoming, isn't there? When we start realizing, becoming self-aware of what we're hearing inside versus what we're being told on the outside. I have loads of examples, but I'll share a simple one to begin. It's like the time I was 14 in 9th grade in French class. French was my favorite subject. I absolutely loved it, and I got an A on every assignment. I had the highest grade in my class. The school I attended was as much about academic excellence as they were character development. So when we got a report card, we got 2 grades. We got a numeric academic grade, and we got a letter grade for our attitude. Attitude was judged on class participation and behavior. Well, I got a 98 in French during this academic period and a C attitude grade. The 98 grade qualified me, along with my other grades, to get on the honor roll. That was a huge achievement. And the attitude grade prevented me from getting on the honor roll. So I went home, I shared my report card with my parents, and I explained how dejected and upset and confused I was that I should have a C attitude grade in French. I came to learn that I got the C attitude grade because the teacher saw me talking to students during class. What she didn't know is that they were asking me for help. She never asked me why I was talking. My mother understood the situation, so she called the teacher. And this is not a case of my child is so special, give her a pass. For instance, I got the attendance award several years because even if I didn't feel well, my mother made me go to school. If your mother's a nurse, I bet you can relate. The next day, when I went to French class, the teacher ushered everybody into the room, but kept me out in the hallway as she closed the door and explained, I got a call from your mother, and she explained that the attitude grade broke your spirit. I had never heard this expression before. I didn't know what my stern, testy teacher meant when she said this. She had asked me a very leading question, and I was terrified. And in that moment, I did not speak my truth. I did not stand up for myself. Was I being authentic? Yes, but within a self-imposed limit that I wasn't aware of. I bet if I had the courage to tell her the truth about the situation in a way that felt comfortable to me, if I had the courage to be true to myself, it would have helped my confidence. And it would have been a positive lesson. And who knows what it would have led to? Maybe she would have talked to the other students and understood. I bet she would have switched that grade. I would have made the honor roll. This revelation of the bubble was profound. In effort to respect an authority figure, did I disrespect myself? Was it like a fish swimming happily in a fishbowl that was floating in the sea? I wonder. I'm not one who believes in regret. I don't believe in wallowing in regret. I believe in teachable moments. I believe in revisiting something to see if something can be gained from understanding what happened in a time and place. The reason I don't believe in regret is because if we are being true to ourselves and open to all the information, that includes facts and feelings, if we are open to the information we have at that time and place, if we make an informed decision and act from that, that we can never regret what we've done later. We were acting in the best way we knew how at that time. If you have pangs of regret, grant yourself some grace for who you were then and take the lesson forward for who you are now and who you'd like to become. When we're in the bubble, we don't know it. To observe what was happening inside, you need to get outside of it. You need to get distance. You need to see it from afar. You need some detachment from the situation, the circumstance, or the place, or the feeling. Just like you can't read a book when it's 2 inches from your eye. You need to pull it several inches away to make out the letters and get the meaning. nor can you make sense of a scene viewing it only through a magnifying glass. You can study things up close in 10x magnification, but you'll never get the context of the scene, the landscape, the situation. So permeating that boundary of such a bubble, as thin and transparent as it seems, can be painful, stressful, negative, confusing, lonely. Faith and optimism can get you through that. Self-belief, making the effort to try to understand yourself in the situation. But by being true to ourselves through the process, we will land in a good place. It begins with self-awareness, and self-awareness is the first step toward authenticity. I lived in that bubble, in that sphere, for a very long time. I did everything right by myself, personally and professionally, I could within that limitation. But at some point, it did not work enough for me to continue like that. I could no longer take it. And when you can no longer take it, that's when your greatest opportunity appears. I have been shifting, expanding, and enlightening for a very long time, and it will continue. There is no end point. And I don't think of it as progression, getting from point A to point B, because that's very achievement-oriented. I think of it more as an expansion outward and upward. You're listening to Express Yourself with Authenticity, and I'm Liza Horan. I'd like to round out this episode with the convictions that led me to conceive this show. I feel so strongly about them that I can't not do this show. I believe each of us is unique. No one possesses the exact combination of genes, attributes, experiences, circumstances, perspectives, and potential that you possess. I believe each of us has the power of choice. The only thing we control is our attitude and our actions. I believe everyone possesses immense potential for good. I believe that a person is a process, ever evolving. There's no end point. I believe we are holistic beings of mind, body, and spirit. We're more than blood, bones, and brain. I believe what we refer to as the supernatural is natural. I believe everything is energy, and energy is everything. I believe that we are energetic beings, individuations of consciousness experiencing itself. We've each got a different point of view, and these individuations are part of the whole, yet we feel disconnected. The more we can understand our own individual nature, the more we can comprehend our interconnectedness. We're all in this together. In other words, we are energetic beings of love and light on a search for connection and meaning here. While all of this is in play on a personal level, it's also in play on a collective level. And now is the time to realize your power and your potential and to release them. This cannot wait. We are on the precipice. We have a choice. We're either going to fall on that slippery slope into the fake, contrived world, or we're going to step into the genuine. We have to start making conscious choices and conscientious choices to turn all of this around. I believe every major decision and move in our lives has a push and a pull. There's something urging us to move from the position we're in. And there's also something that's drawing us forward, something pulling us forward, encouraging us in a new direction. The push is this meta crisis I've laid out. And the pull, I hope, is personal. How are you feeling? Does it sit well with you? Do you feel drawn to something more? Do you wonder if there's another way? Are you open, ready, and willing to explore? Because there is something more. There's another way than this fake, materialist, manufactured, contrived automation that modern life has seemingly become. Let me lay it out this way. The problem is we're disconnected from ourselves, from each other, from nature. The opportunity to reconnect, beginning with our very selves. The solution is to start by focusing on what is real in our own perception, turning inward, observing our feelings, perspectives, and sensations, questioning and deconstructing what we presume, and wondering, has it been shaped by outside forces? Has it been informed from within? In fact, the new way is already here. It's a growing movement, and it's a return to ourselves, our own nature. It's a place where science and spirituality intertwine, where reason, logic, and intelligence are complemented by the mystical, sensory, and innate intuition. And all of this lies within you. So how do we move from teetering on the edge of the precipice to the tipping point toward connection, unity, and peace? We have never been in a better position than today. And I don't mean just because we're talking about it. I mean forces are in our favor. There's a great awakening going on. Consciousness is rising. Old systems and old ways are breaking down, setting the stage for a breakthrough. Many leading astrologers say we moved into the age of Aquarius in the past year or so. And it's about expansion. It's about raising our vibration. It's about the collective. It's about moving to healing and making our own choices. It's about tapping your internal world to inform how you navigate the external world. It's about expressing yourself with authenticity. I'd like to close this episode, as I will every episode, with a quote and a prompt for you. Quote, "When the powerful control the narrative, they hold the reins of perception. In the era of corporate Western media, the masses must question what they're being fed, lest they become unwitting pawns in the game of power." That was written by Jaap Helm, the author of a book called Covert Control. The prompt I'd like to offer you is a simple exercise that you can do silently and that you can bring to a couple moments in the next day or so. Become aware of the data you're receiving on 3 aspects within yourself: the intellectual, the emotional, and the physical. Begin with the intellectual. Tap into what your thoughts are in this moment. What is your mind telling you about this situation? And then move to the emotional, to your heart. What are your feelings? What emotions are coming up for you? Finally, move into the physical. Can you perceive any specific sensations throughout your body? Perhaps your teeth are clenched, your hand is clenched, your shoulders are hunched, or your toe is tapping, you're fidgeting, or perhaps you're totally relaxed and at ease. What is that telling you? Once you tune into these three sources of information for yourself, you'll be able to understand your feelings versus your thoughts versus your sensations about it. You may find that your body and your emotions are telling you one thing and your thoughts are telling you another. For instance, you might find that a conversation you're having is kind of stressing you out, which you can feel physically and with your emotions. However, your head is saying, this person is being totally reasonable. Or it may be the reverse. This is an opportunity to be conscious on many levels about how you may feel innately and intuitively about something. There's a fourth aspect, and that's spiritual. We'll delve into that on a future episode. As you train yourself to tune into the obvious and the subtle aspects of your being, you will be calibrating yourself to know what is right or wrong for you, and you'll increasingly improve your ability to make the right decision with what is true for you. And when you're getting the same signals from all of your aspects, you know you are aligned and you can act from authenticity. Try out this exercise and let me know what your experience and your insights are from it. Please go to the show website. It's expressyourselfwithauthenticity.com, and there you can message me and you can find links to the YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm your host, Liza Horan, and I want to thank you for being here today. Join me for episode 2 when we take a deep dive on what authenticity is and is not. Till then, keep your feet on the ground and your eyes to the skies.